Welcome home, Dynamics community. I'm your host, Mariana, welcoming you to the Dynamics Show, where personal growth meets daily life in the most powerful ways. Here, we know that life isn't a one-size-fits-all. So each episode is designed to help you align with your unique essence, experiences, and rhythm, embracing your dynamic self and creating a life that works on your terms. This is a space to gain fresh perspective, seize opportunity, and uncover the possibilities waiting for you. You're here for a reason, and will hear what you need to. So let's dive in and explore what's possible together. So today, we were supposed to be having a discussion with a guest. However, that did not turn out, but as always, things happen for a reason, and we seize the opportunity to have a conversation with you a little bit one-on-one. So this will be more about a fundamental combination of off the cuff around kids and the Kid Dynamics program, the Dynamics of Kids. You have known why we picked the subject already, and we've already defined the definition. You can check that out from our last podcast, any of our blogs this month, or Dynamics with an S, dynamicsseries.com, and the link will be below in the show notes. So I just wanted to say one thing. If you haven't listened to the first podcast of this month around Kid Dynamics, we renamed the Kid Dynamics podcast, What Are We Teaching to Our Kids Even Before Birth? Because in that, we talk about the intention of having a child, the pregnancy part of having a child, and then once the child and the kid is born, or kids, that the process of the balance that's needed. Before we get into all that even further, I want to set the tone like we usually do, because this is more than just a podcast. It's a space to remind you that within each of us flows a dynamic energy ready to be embraced, shaped, and co-created with every single day. That's why the day in dynamics is capitalized. It is about making a daily choice to live dynamically. Like everything is a choice. It's either a choice for something or a choice by not making a choice, so choice by default. So let's take a moment to center ourselves, take a deep breath in and out, and become fully present and listen with an open heart and mind, because here's the thing. What we focus on expands, and every day is a chance to become more of our true dynamic selves. So back to renaming of the podcast. Now, we sometimes rename a podcast based on the feedback that we receive, or that it's just an inspiration that comes to say, oh no, this more best represents what the podcast is about. I'm not attached to the name of a podcast, so you'll just notice that along the way that there might be a slight change to it, and that's okay, because again, you'll always get what you need to. So this one podcast for the Dynamics of Kids, we chose to focus on going in and researching what is the top 3 searches for kids around the well-being of them. And I think that I was a little surprised, but given the state of what I've heard my daughter being a teacher and others that are teachers or homeschoolers or daycare workers or, is that they're seeing these trends a little bit more. So when I looked it up and then it's like, yeah, I've heard this. Let's go over these top 3 and then let's see what we can address around them. Because I truly believe that if we can be as intentional and as conscious as we could be before we even choose to bring children into this world, that it will really help. And what that means is that, as an example of a parent or a caretaker or all the people that will influence and co-create and intertwine with our children, with our kids along their life journey and life path, for them to have the foundation and the fundamentals around who they are as a person, instilled with confidence and positivity and really self-care, that a lot of this will work and even better for them during their life. It also helps the adults involved improve or recreate or transform anything that they may have to do in their own life to feel that balance and alignment and well-being, so they can be that example for their kid or kids, depending on what role you play in the well-being of the children. So the first one in the top 3 is emotional intelligence. We've done emotions in our emotion dynamics. If you haven't addressed that, go back, look at our website, look at some of the other podcasts that talk about emotions, and you'll see that there's an emotional scale that we often refer to, and it goes over the different emotions and how we can intertwine and work with them. It's also in our blog and some of our other resources. So there's lots to research after this as well. Every podcast that we do is more about sharing a resource and then you choosing what serves you around the subject matter. So emotional intelligence. Now, because kids are influenced by others, especially in the younger years, it's just really important for the parents and or caretakers to understand the emotional intelligence that you want your child to have, that you as well are balancing that and aligning that for you. Now, number 2, the mental health of youth. Because of all the pressures and opportunities that they have nowadays to just have so much more information presented to them through the different avenues, internet, the TVs, the computers, the social media stuff, through video games, what they can read, all of that, and having that opportunity for them to have their mental health be in balance. Again, we have resources. There's lots of other really positive, uplifting resource. When you're thinking of choosing which resource that you want to follow, which it could be a combination, I always say look at several, see what feels best. And again, from a parent perspective or caretaker perspective, make sure you have that balance as well. A part of addressing stuff for the dynamics of kids is also addressing the dynamics of the, again, adults and caretakers that are taking care of them. Because you are an influence, you are a co-creator, and you are an example, especially having so much concentrated time with them when they're young. And we'll be doing more on pregnancy and or choosing to have children, whether that is through pregnancy or through other means, and having children in your life and having that conscious parenting and conscious caretaking. So we'll deal with that at another time, creating that podcast. But for right now, the mental health of youth is important because there's so much influence, and because of, oh, you need to be this way, or you should be this way, or this, that. You've heard it from me before, saying that maybe it should be not used so much, the word should, and just make it conscious choices that have conscious consequences. And that be very open and honest with the conversations right from the beginning, and presenting them so the kids have their own inner guidance and their own life path while they're here, by being open about everything, including their health on all levels. And number 3, intentional living and digital well-being, which I just mentioned a little bit before in number 2. So intentional living, yes, be intentional, be conscious, be open communication. Look at some of our other dynamic series, core life dynamics, relationships and love and beliefs, gratitude, family, mind, music. There's so many that will be intertwined with intentional living. Digital well-being, if you've ever listened to a few of our podcasts in the last little bit, Makota and I, as my guest, being a teacher, having her bachelor's and master's, and presently even looking to do her PhD around education. And part of one of the options that she always thought about is just that balance of the digital well-being that we have, how they use it, how there needs to still be that balance of not having everything electronic in their life, and getting back to the core reading and writing, knowing the difference and the balance between how to use the digital and the AI and everything that those that are creators come up with around offering us how we get information, and the balance around that, and how you can be a part of that as well. So I'm not going to get into too much of the details, because we've done so many podcasts and blogs and have resources around the top 3 already. But we'll look for the Dyna Tools, and they'll have the link for that as well for kids, because that will help even starting their day off with a positive knowing about themselves, or looking in the mirror, or just saying, this week or this month, we're going to focus on this theme, and let's look for where we can find it, where we can use it, where we can be more of it. And then affirmations and knowings that they can say to themselves when they need that boost of self-esteem or confidence, or something that they know this stuff. Sometimes it's as they grow older and what they learn, especially from others, that their connection to their own guidance, their own source, whatever word you want to use around that they are here to teach us as much as we feel that we need to teach them along the way. And by starting early, we may want to consider that we are aspiring our kids, and we can't ask them to be something that we're not. I mean, we can, but where do they get their examples from? The ones that are closest to us, the ones that have the most influence on our kids. And granted, again, we all have our life path. However, being an example really does help. So this, when we talk about kids and the dynamics of kids, is equally about the dynamics of our own caretaker portion of that, whatever label that ends up being. I truly believe that kids help us focus on being the best version of ourselves. Sometimes they are more conscious than we are about things, and being open to just learn that from each other. So what do you feel now about those top three? Are they in your top three, listeners? Of if you have kids, or if you did have kids, or even if you have nieces and nephews or cousins or whatever that you're around a lot, would they be the top three, or is there others? We love to hear that support from you. So along with inviting you to go to our Dyna Tools, I also invite you to go to dynamicseries.com/kiddynamics, or I might just say kid, I'm not sure. But I'll put the link below, and look at all the resources that we have on that page to start with. We're updating our shop as well, so there'll be the resources where you can purchase around the program once we're done transforming it. Also, in our show notes, notice that we'll have the blogs that we've done this month on kids, the songs that we've created for kids, and then we also have the YouTube channel for kids. So there's lots to look at, and if you have any questions, remember, we're always constantly evolving. Our take-home saying today for this podcast will be, I am evolving as a person to be the best version of myself, to live a dynamic life, so I may be an example to my kids and others, or some version of that for you. I also want to just shout out to our subscribers and our supporters of the show, those that have bought us a coffee. And we as a team really appreciate that, because it just shows your involvement in being part of this dynamic community. In that the word dynamic is not always used a lot, or if it is, there is a different meaning to it. But dynamic of a person is just as important as other verbiages that we use around not only ourselves but our kids. So Dynamics community, just take a moment to reflect on this episode about living dynamically around kids. How will you make the insights your own, and what will you become from this? We can't wait to hear your story, so please text us through the link in the show notes and or through the website. Here is your challenge. Take action. Share this episode with someone that may need it, and dive into some of our past recordings to keep the momentum going. Just to note that all materials are copyrighted and meant for informational purposes only, and visit us anytime at dynamicsshow.info or dynamicseries.com for more resources. Till next time, Dynamics community, we say thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thanks for being part of the journey. We have a new dynamic coming up next month, so look for that. Thank you, and make it dynamic day. Bye for now.